Welcome back, everyone, to episode number 59 of the Beginner to Master Speedrun. I am currently in a new location in Trondheim, Norway, and I have an overboard tournament coming up in just a few days, but figured why not do another speedrun episode. And before we get into the games, I do just want to thank everyone for your comments in the previous episode. Vast majority of people were saying I should void the loss from episode number 57, given that I did receive a rating refund. My opponent did violate the fair play policy on chess.com. So I'm getting rid of the one loss, going back to 0 losses, and adding a new category for 1 rating refund. And meanwhile, I have 172 wins, so try and keep it going today, and hopefully I can break 2,000 today. So let's hop into the first game. Okay, first opponent, playing Master Prof, and we have a queen's pawn. Knight f3, knight f6. Knight f3 is very flexible. White's going for kind of the start of a Colle, sometimes called the Colle-Zucker tort, where white will employ this sort of, c3, and then bishop d3, and knight d2. Against this, what do I want to do? I'll start with knight c6. This is basically a reverse version of a semi-Slav. Now, I sometimes have to be careful as black, allowing takes and then b4, so I'm just going to go ahead and take on d4, and then look to develop the bishop and complete development in pretty harmonious fashion. And actually the big difference between black setup and white setup is the fact that white has a more passive bishop on c1, and both my bishops are quite active here. So I'll go ahead and castle. h3. Yeah, opponent's playing pretty quickly, but so far it's hasn't been too many big decisions to make. I'll try and play quickly myself, put the rook on c8, the only open file in the position. And now it's a question what my middle game plan should be. So I would like to try and stir up some attack on the king side. I'm thinking actually bishop to b8, and maybe create the battery with queen d6. Yeah, I'll start with this. I think the bishop is very useful here. And it's important to play rook c8 before bishop e8, just so the rook is not blocked in. White's taking their first think of the game. Yeah, from white's perspective, the pin was annoying, so bishop e2 does make a lot of sense. And, I mean, I'm drawn to queen d6, threatening to take and then checkmate. If I play queen d6, there is knight b5. And then I'd maybe just move the queen and look to play a6. Let's go for this. I do apologize if there's any background noise. I do have the window open, my hotel, some loud cars outside. White plays g3, so not getting mated. a6 comes to mind, but I feel like it's weakening. It allows this, and then dark squares are weak. So, yeah, what are the other plans here? And there's knight e4. Takes, we trade. I could slow play like h6. There's also this maneuver, knight e7. Or even knight d7. And then look to play on the queen side. Yeah, taking some time here. I want to punish g3, but white's setup is actually quite solid. I'm going to take another moment looking at knight e4, takes, knight d2. Doesn't feel like black's accomplishing much there. Yeah, I'm going to play knight d7. There's actually a few reasons behind this move. White very quickly plays knight b5. I save the queen. And basically the two main points of this move is one to maybe exploit the c4 square, but the other is to maybe play f6 and e5. Okay, white's offering the bishop trade. Yeah, I think I'd rather keep my bishop. Play bishop g6. I like the bishop kind of piercing through these queenside squares. White plays f3. So I think white played a little bit too quickly there. This pawn is undefended. This is a sniper bishop. It's tucked away, but can do some damage from a distance. And here I'm mainly debating between taking the pawn or playing this first. Honestly, don't think it matters that much. Yeah, let's just take the pawn. Leaving the knight on b5. And now, yeah, I think I can just go in for the kill. Queen h4, h3 is about to fall. If king g2, I'll move the bishop, and that would threaten mate in 2. White was playing like very solidly from the opening, but all it takes is one careless move. Now, yeah, I think bishop f4 is probably the most precise. Because that way I hit the knight, and if white plays queen e1, I can either take and win the knight, or queen g5 and win the knight. And I don't see any other move for white to defend g3 other than queen e1. Wait, knight f1's not possible. Yeah, I think this is almost game over. Okay, white resigns. So pretty quick game, 19 moves. Yeah, probably not much to analyze this game, but hopefully this goes to show like how to play against somewhat of a solid opening against this this Colle Zukertort. Because I remember when I was younger, I used to struggle playing against such an opening. Like I always thought that positions would be boring, but this setup is nice and aggressive for black. Even if white takes with this pawn, I'd still play bishop g4. And it's basically a reverse version of a Queen's Gambit declined exchange variation. Black just gets very good harmony and good attacking potential in the middle game. So going forward, yeah, maybe we can just look at this moment, like after bishop e2, I think all of this was fine. I think this was kind of a big decision moment of what to do for black, like how to formulate a plan. The move I played is knight d7. Engine slightly prefers black. Other moves were bishop g6, rook fd8. It seems like the engine just wants to kind of slow play and gradually improve. Not a huge edge for black, but it's definitely more pleasant given that white's bishop on b2 is quite bad, and yeah, black just has a bit more activity. Knight d7. And of course here, yeah, f3 was, I think, just played a bit too carelessly. If rook e1, engine's top move is rook e1, maybe to reroute the bishop, then the game would continue. I don't know what I would go for, like maybe f6, f6, e5. Engine actually says f5, which is interesting, to then put the knight back and then establish a grip on e4. But maybe could have been a bigger fight from here. So let's keep it going. Rated 1997. Hopefully I can break 2000 after next game. Playing Eat Checkmate from Canada. And we have a Sicilian. Okay, so I'm going to play one of my favorite aggressive openings against the Sicilian. Specifically against knight c6 on move 2. This bishop b5 move. And generally, if black doesn't play knight d4, then the plan is just to take the knight and then play a Grand Prix setup with f4 and knight f3 and castle. And then, I mean, usually white has like very good attacking potential going into the middle game from these lines. Black's preventing me from castling, but I can play d3, blocking the bishop. And even though I conceded the bishop pair, it's very common for at least black's light squared bishop to be kind of out of play in such positions. I could try to find a nice diagonal if I can draw the arrow, but yeah, it doesn't really do that much from a6. I'll just castle. Okay, black plays d5. So against d5, there are a few kind of common ways white can respond. And for one, I don't really have to address this move. Like, I could just ignore it and continue with my own plans. Queen e1 comes to mind, leaving the tension. I definitely don't want to take and undouble black c-pawns. Another option is to play e5, which does kind of look appealing, but I'm not really in much rush. Leaning more towards queen e1 here. Another idea is knight e5, attacking c6. But I think I'd rather just stay flexible. And this is a very typical move for such an opening, especially when white moves f-pawn. Very often the queen can come into g3, exert pressure on the black king side. And I'm not scared of d4. And d4 is a very common mistake from black in these structures, where I'd go for knight a4 and b3, and queenside pawns would be very weak. So knight f6 is played. Yeah, this is provoking me maybe to go for e5. e5, knight d7. I'm also considering b3 here, playing a bit more positionally. I mean, the dream would be to like play b3, eventually knight a4 and c4. I think the one thing I have to watch out for is black playing c4 to try and disrupt my pawn chain. Yeah, e5, knight d7, and then b3. Don't mind that. Yeah, let's go for this. I gain space. It's very possible black will go for f6 later to try and get rid of my e5 pawn, but the pawn is very well supported by my f pawn, my knight, my queen, and even potentially the bishop. But there's cases where, like after b3, the bishop ends up going to a3. Probably not now, though. Yeah, c4 is a good move, at least very thematic move. And my thought was, I can just take and play d4. Assuming black takes back, I leave the pawn on c4. So the bishop is not really doing much damage. These pawns are still weak. And probably look to play bishop e3. Maybe eventually knight e4. But we're definitely getting a nice imbalanced position. I mean, if black can play c5 and open up the diagonal for the bishop, then yeah, maybe this bishop could actually do some damage. Castling. Okay, I'm going to start with bishop e3. Although, I guess I have to consider, what does black want to do? Black's plan might be this and this. I play bishop e3, knight b6. Like, I want to play knight e4 and c3, but not super easy to achieve. I could also just try and attack on the king side, like knight g5, knight g5, h6. Another idea is queen g3. Actually, queen g3 kind of looks nice. Because black might also want to play this move, bishop b4, to pin, and then my queen's tied down. Yeah, I'm going to start with queen g3. I feel like there's more benefit with this move compared to other moves. So I might already have ideas of f5 and bishop h6. I'm also freeing the d1 square, or the first rank for the rook. Rook d1 would be nice to support the pawn. Black plays f6. So I should consider f5. f5 takes and then bishop h6. It could lead to craziness. I am getting low on time, but f5, if takes, I take on e6. And if takes on e5, wait, yeah, takes on e5, I take on e6, should be good for white. If takes on f5, I play this, threatening mate. Rook f7, I have e6. I think it's good. It's a risky move, creating a lot of tension, positions opening up, which usually favors the side with the bishop pair. But I'm pretty much relying on these checkmating ideas. And bishop h6 is a pretty big threat here. And I'm trying to pounce on black in a moment where black is still like not greatly placed with the pieces. Like this bishop's out of play. g7 is still vulnerable. Queen's still kind of doing not much on d8. So black takes. And now, yeah, it looks like I can just go in with bishop h6. And I imagine black will play g6 and then give the rook for bishop, which actually still leads to a fight. And black will have bishop and pawn, minor piece and pawn for rook. Anything better, like e6? e6 right away, there's knight b6. Yeah, I think I have to take. And now I want to use my rooks. I mean, looking at rook e1. e6 is still a move. e6 might be a bit overextending, though. I think I'd rather keep the tension in the center. Oh, rook e1, there's bishop b4. I could play king h1. I'm going to play king h1. This is mainly just a flexible improving move. There's so many cases where the king can be exploited on this diagonal. It's just safer in the corner. And I was also waiting for black to kind of show their cards. So knight b6. Now maybe I can take. Queen takes and then knight e5. Not simple, though. I'll go for it. I do like the prospect of having an outpost on e5 square. And there's actually ideas now of knight e4, exploiting the newly pinned pawn on f5. So actually, if black plays bishop d6, which looks very natural, to pin my knight, I can probably respond with knight e4 with somewhat of a pork, pin plus a fork. I'd be very happy to trade knight for bishop here. Rook d8, okay. Probably a better move than bishop d6. Pawns are defended. Does knight e4 still... I feel like I should defend the d-pawn. Maybe just rook d1. Is a one piece not doing anything for me? I'm still kind of waiting for this bishop to come here. I should also note that the queen is somewhat tied down to defending this, because there's rook f5 possibilities. Black's offering the trade. If I take... I think taking makes sense. Takes, rook takes, c3. And just trying to simplify. I guess bishop d6 is more of a threat now. Looking at knight g4. I'm going to start with c3, making sure black can't play c3. And then I'll probably just look to support the knight. Like, even if black pins it, I can play rook to e1. There's also ideas of using the b file. There's two fully open files in the position. Files with no pawns on them. But it's a question, like, if I play rook b1, how do I actually invade black's territory? Another idea is to double up on the f file to threaten rook takes f5. Black plays bishop h6. So I think this move walks into knight g4. Using the pin and the fork. I'm not winning material because there's queen g5 or queen g7. But maybe I am, because my queen will invade. Yeah, this is a very good transformation. And now I can actually take on f5. Making sure there's no counter tactics. Yeah, I fell less below 2 minutes, but should be in pretty good shape here. We see bishop c8. I have queen c7. Queen c7. I think I'd rather keep my rook, though. Play rook f2. Look to double up. Yeah, at this point, I'm basically either going for more simplification or perhaps some kind of mating attack. Bishop f5. Taking doesn't quite work. Bishop e4 is coming. But bishop e4, I have rook to f7. So h3 is just an improving move, making some error for the king. Maybe queen e5 forces a queen trade. I do have to move a lot more quickly here. I'm going to play rook b2. Thinking rook b8 could be a nice way to force the trade of rooks. And then probably later I can force a trade of queens too. Yeah, I'll go for rook b8. Yeah, just over a minute left. Still looking for tactics. Takes. Okay, we'll just take and... yeah, I think just queen e5. And I'll look to play g4, which chases the bishop off the f file, so the king is cut off. And now I just have a very simple plan of promoting the e-pawn. Black can try d4, but then I'll take, and the rook's always covering c1. I guess there is bishop c6. But okay, I'll keep pushing. Push again. Now the bishop's tied down to watching e8. And I should bring my king in. What's the best way to do this? Maybe this first. The thing is, if I go after the c-pawn, I allow the king to come in. But, yeah, I should just win the c-pawn. And then if I defend, I do have this move. And then I'll queen. Okay, plenty of time. Go and make a new queen and cut off the king first. Queen with check. Yeah, this is made into... Okay. Well, I broke 2000. Definitely was a good fight. Hopefully goes to show what it takes to get to the 2000 level. My opponent, I think, ran into a little bit of trouble in the middle game. I mean, they played kind of a reasonable opening. I will say, though, that for most players who play the Sicilian, if you play knight c6 on move 2 and white plays bishop to b5, the best move here is knight d4, just to try and improve the knight, get tempo on the bishop. Yeah, very often when I play this opening as white, I enjoy playing these sort of Grand Prix structures with black having the double c pawns. And yeah, going forward, I mean, Engine says white was slightly better. Just checking if anything big was missed. F5 was the best move. Yeah, sometimes it's easy in these positions to like slow play a little bit too much with like bishop e3 or king h1, but always want to look for these chances to pounce. And yeah, once I won material, it was quite nice. Although the engine says I should not have taken the rook. Wow, the best move here is something I did not consider. Knight h4, which actually makes a ton of sense. Because I leave the rook attacked, and I'm threatening the f5 pawn, because g6 is pinned, but I'm also threatening knight takes g6. So if rook e8, then this is just crushing. It takes, it's mating. So this is actually a very good lesson, is that when you think you have an easy move or you executed a tactic to win material, you still want to take your time and look for the best option in the position. I think if I considered knight h4 and saw the threats to it, I probably would have gone for it. But yeah, I cashed in, and then yeah, going forward, I think it was pretty smooth. Got the knight on e5, yeah, black allowed knight g4, and life was good. So yeah, nothing much more to analyze in the endgame. So okay, I think I'm gonna wrap it up there because I do have to go like very soon. So thanks everyone for watching. If you like the content, do subscribe, and I'll see you guys soon.